Hi there. My name is David Batsoffen and I host a travel blog called Travel and Things. I'm currently doing a series called In Conversation With. And at the moment, I'm talking to Roger de la Harpe, who's from African Imagery, and we're talking photography. Roger, how are you doing?
All good, Dave, and you?
Very well, thank you. What have you got lined up in today's episode?
Dave, some years ago, I shot a picture of a small group of rhinos at Madikwe Game Reserve in the most fabulous afternoon light. And I thought we would just go through how we shot the and look at some of the post-production techniques we used on it.
That's wonderful. Share your screen with us.
Let's do that. There we go. So there's the picture.
I love this image, Roger. This is probably one of my favorite rhino images ever.
I mean, it's certainly one of mine. We printed this up to A0 for display purposes,
right?
And on the most fabulous fine art paper, and it looks gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous, with this late afternoon streaming into the little rhino there.
So talk us through how you did this.
The photograph itself was quite simple. There's nothing hectic involved with the actual shoot. It was quite a gungy afternoon, hazy as it can be up in those parts of the world. And we came across this small herd of rhino at a waterhole there. And we did a whole series of pictures of it, but the secret to it, post-production, to bring out what was there, what we saw. The camera produced a fairly flat image, but that's not what it was when we were there. It was dark and golden and just magical. So what we've done in the post is to bring in something that we saw when we were there.
Right.
Should we go through it?
Yes, please.
Before and after.
Yes, that's what I'm hoping you were going to do.
Let's do it. Let's go into Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom here, into the develop module. Just let me get this this back here so that we can work with this. There we go. So we're in the develop module, and I'm going to reset the image. So that's what the camera produced.
Wow. Okay.
But it has potential. You can see the light coming in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit, we shot it a little wider than I would have liked, so I'm going to just crop it in ever so slightly, not a lot, and get that rhino, that young rhino there onto the third. Just straighten it a little bit. And now we can begin with the post-production itself, with the enhancement of the image, if that's the right word. The first things I do, Dave, always enable the profile correction. See the image change there a little bit.
Yep.
As Lightroom automatically corrects for that lens, and we get to remove any chromatic aberration. We are going to do a little bit of noise reduction. Always good to pop a little bit in there, and I'm going to leave the color reduction as it is. Sharpening, we'll leave that as it is, but I want to just deal with the masking. Now, what the masking does, decides, it masks out the areas that we don't want to sharpen, because we don't want to sharpen these areas here, because there's nothing there to sharpen. And if we do try and sharpen stuff in there, what Lightroom's going to do is to sharpen the noise in the image. And we don't want that. We want the noise as soft and as unobtrusive as possible. So I'm going to hold down the Alt key and drag this to the right. Everything that is white in the image will be sharpened, and everything that won't be sharpened. Right? So as we start to drag, you can see what's going to be sharpened in the image. And I'm going to just keep dragging it until those background areas be black. Now, we're only sharpening these parts of the image that need to be sharpened.
Right.
Right, let's get down to actually seeing the image. If we click on auto here, it's a great little shortcut to getting to where you want to begin working. So you can already see that the colors have been boosted a little bit, the vibrance is up a little bit more contrast in the image. But that's not how it was. The camera has flattened out the image. It's gathered all, and I should say these are raw images, by the way.
Right.
So you're going to need to do some post-production on them. Otherwise, they tend to be very, very flat. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring down the exposure levels, just so that we've got all this gorgeous light on this young animal here. And then I'm going to bring in a bit of a post-crop vignette, again, just to highlight this area, that those darkened corners around the image, just hold your vision in. I find it a little bit too vibrant. I think Lightroom has overdone the saturation and vibrance increases, so I'm going to bring that back a little. And I'm going to bring the contrast down a little bit because I've also pushed it up a little bit too much. And now we're getting close to where I would like to see this image in the end. Now, the two things I find a bit distracting. One is this dead tree here, and the other is this clump of branches, things on the right-hand side. So what I'm going to do is go to my brush tool on the right here underneath the histogram. And I'm going to let's just do this so that we can see where we're painting and our areas here. Big soft brush. You can see the brush there, the center circle, not the blue one, the white one is where the brush is working, and then the feather goes out to the outer circle. Zero that by double clicking the word exposure. And now I'm just going to drag that to the left and darken those areas just a little bit. And I'm going to pull down the saturation on that as well, because as you darken an image, so the saturation levels go up. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is go to my radial mask, and I'm going to draw an ellipse here, and then I'm going to turn it like that, and I'm going to just increase the exposure there ever so slightly. And Dave, that's about where I would leave.
Roger, I mean, it's fascinating to watch you work. It really and truly is. Is this non-destructive? If you decide, you can save it, but have you've still got your original in case you want to go back and rework it again for some reason?
All right. Now Lightroom is a very interesting way of working. So we've image into Lightroom. Now we do all the edits on it, and you don't save it. You don't do anything. There, it's done. Now, if we want to use the image, you need to export it. Right? Okay. So we're going to right click and we're going to go to export. And here is where you decide what you want to do with it. Do you want a small picture to send to your mates, you know, via email? Mm-hmm. Do you want a massive A1 print of this? You need to export it as a 16, so the printers can actually work with it and do their magic. Or what do you want to do with it? And you've got a whole pile of presets here, and you can adjust all manner of things here from image format, you know, PNGs, DNGs, TIFFs, whatever you want, to the size, you can the metadata or not, you can watermark it, and then you export it into the format that you want to.
Okay.
Now, nothing has happened to the image. If we go and look at this image in the file itself, none of these things would have changed. And the other interesting thing is we can create a virtual copy of it if you want to, right? And now, for example, we can convert it into a black and white image, right? And we fiddle with this just to make it look a little bit more punchy and a little bit more interesting, or whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah.
Now, this image actually exists It's only the metadata.
Okay.
And if you convert your pictures to what they call DNG, so if you're moving the NEF files of a Nikon or a CRW file or CR2 file of a Canon, you convert those into the Adobe RAW format, which is a DNG. These adjustments that we've made go with the image. It's saved into the image, but it's the adjustment saved, not the image at all. So the image doesn't change.
Right.
It's just adjustments that you've made are stored with the image. So we can go back and click reset here, and there we go. We're back to the original file.
Just looking at the difference between color and black and white, do people still use sepia anymore? Just as a matter of interest.
Look at this. We've developed a series of presets that we have for sale. But I've got this one called African Dreams. There's a black and white version that we do. And these are just clicking the presets. Africa's Big Five. This is another preset. That one, which is a different take on the whole.
Yeah.
Beast. And you pick these things, and then you begin your work from there and adjust it to however you would like it to look. So you can very quickly get to a feel on the image.
Yeah. Roger, do you want to bring yourself back to full screen? There are a couple of questions I want to ask that don't pertain to this image, but that I want to ask you before we wrap up this particular episode. There we go. Thank you very much. If people want to find out more about what it is that you and African Imagery do, are you doing online courses at the moment that people can sign up for?
We do some personal courses, where we interact with individuals like yourself and take them through their portfolios and look at what they're doing and how they can improve. And, so it's personalized, depends where you want to go to.
Right.
And we have on our YouTube channel and on our website, rogerandpatdelaharpe.com, we have a series of tutorials and photo tips and all that sort of stuff.
Okay, but it's always nice to hear a voice rather than just watch a tutorial. I know I get all enthusiastic in the beginning, and then halfway through I realize I have no idea what I'm doing, and I give up and I go to one of the easier programs, or I just leave the image and I'll come back to it at a later date.
Yeah, it's much not, and we can we can target it specifically for what you're doing. So
right.
If you do some scenic work, we can target the instruction or the information towards scenic photographs as opposed to rugby, for want of a better example.
Great stuff. Roger, as always, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. I've been in conversation with Roger de la Harpe. We've been talking photography here on Travel and Things. Roger, we'll chat to you again in the not too distant future.
Look forward to today. Thanks. Cheers.